When Aliyah arrived in her custom emerald gown, the security guard didn't ask for her name. He told her to leave. That was mistake number one. The lights of Manhattan sparkled beneath the rooftop venue like a bed of diamonds. It was one of those nights where the air buzzed with status, old money, and privilege. The Vermilion Gala was the most anticipated event of the season, a blend of philanthropy, fashion, and ego. Aliyah Moore stepped out of her car, radiant in a deep emerald green gown that hugged her figure with regal precision. Her natural curls were pinned back with gold accents, and her skin glowed in the city lights. She walked with grace, head held high, confidence etched in every step. She had every right to be there. An accomplished civil rights attorney and founder of New Roots Foundation, a non-profit that mentored underprivileged black girls across the country, Aliyah had received a personal invitation from the editor-in-chief of Social Vogue, the magazine behind the event. Not only that, she had donated $50,000 through her foundation to support the gala's mental health initiative. But when she approached the check-in desk, something shifted. The two women behind the table looked up at her, then at each other. One tapped her iPad, frowned and muttered, "What was the name again?" "Aliyah Moore," she said, her voice calm but firm. "M-O-O-R-E. The woman typed again, slower this time. Her brows lifted. "Sorry," she said, not even looking up. "You're not on the list." Aliyah paused, took a breath, and pulled out her phone. "Here's the RSVP confirmation. I'm also listed as a bronze sponsor." The second woman at the table glanced at the phone, then gave a tight smile. "Ma'am, we've had issues with fake invites before. You understand?" Before Aliyah could respond, two security guards approached. "We're going to have to ask you to step aside, miss," one of them said, already reaching for the velvet rope. Confused and now feeling the first sting of shame, Aliyah tried again. "I think there's a misunderstanding." The taller guard interrupted. "This is a private event. We can't let you loiter near the entrance." That word, loiter, slapped her across the face. She looked around. White couples, influencers, and business elites were walking in freely. None were asked for confirmation, no one else was questioned. But she, a black woman in luxury, was being treated like a gatecrasher. A few heads turned toward the commotion. Someone nearby chuckled under their breath. Another woman whispered, "Who is she kidding?" Aliyah's heart pounded, but her face remained still. Years of professionalism, courtroom battles, and systemic resistance had trained her not to flinch, at least not in public. "I want to speak to the event coordinator," she said evenly. One of the women behind the table waved someone over, a man in a slim grey suit, clearly one of the staff. He approached with a look of polite irritation. "Hi, yes," he said, scanning her up and down. "What seems to be the issue?" "She's not on the list," one of the assistants said quickly. The man sighed. "Ah, I see. Well, these things happen. Unfortunately, if you're not listed, we can't just let anyone in, no matter how confident they are." Aliyah's jaw tightened. "I have the confirmation. I also donated $50,000 to this cause." The man gave a fake sympathetic laugh. "Right. I think maybe there's been a mix-up with another event." "You think I don't belong here?" she said quietly. "That's the mix-up." The moment froze. Even the doorman looked up. The man adjusted his cufflinks. "Ma'am, I'm going to ask you to please leave. You're creating a scene." She looked him dead in the eyes. "No, I'm creating a memory." Without another word, she stepped aside from the door and pulled out her phone. She dialed one number. It rang twice. "Julian," she said into the receiver, voice low, "they erased my name from the list. They're trying to make me leave." There was a pause. Then his voice came through, sharp and steady. "Stay there. I'm coming now." She hung up, slid the phone into her purse, and waited. People kept walking past her, brushing shoulders and giving smug glances. The security guards lingered, watching her, whispering to each other. One even muttered, "She probably just wants attention." Minutes passed like hours. Then 3 sleek black cars pulled up to the curb. The doors opened. The man who stepped out was Julian Roth, millionaire entrepreneur, hotel mogul, and media darling. He didn't need introductions. Everyone knew his name, and everyone knew exactly who his wife was. Now. As he walked toward the entrance with two men in suits behind him, the air around the party shifted. The security guard who had dismissed Aaliyah earlier straightened nervously. The coordinator's smile evaporated. Julian's eyes locked on his wife. Then slowly he turned to face the staff. Who here thought it was a good idea to humiliate my wife? If stories like this move you, stories where dignity speaks louder than status, hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss what comes next. Julian Roth didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His tone alone turned the rooftop entrance silent. The security guard stammered, eyes darting toward the coordinator in the grey suit, who suddenly looked pale beneath his spray tan. Julian stepped forward, placing one hand gently on Aaliyah's lower back. His presence beside her was deliberate, powerful, not just as her husband, but as her equal. "I'm going to ask one last time," he said, his voice cold. "Who decided to remove Aaliyah Moore's name from the list? The same Aaliyah Moore who helped fund tonight's cause? The same woman who built a national non-profit while you sip overpriced cocktails for charity clout?" No one spoke. Behind him, one of Julian's assistants handed him a sleek black folder. He flipped it open and pulled out a printed receipt. "This is the wire transfer for $50,000. It was made from the Roth Foundation," he said, raising his voice just enough for the growing crowd to hear. "It was in her name, not mine." Gasps rippled through the entrance. "I didn't donate this money," Julian continued. "My wife did, and she did it because she believed in giving young black girls a seat at the table." Now even some of the guests were listening intently, inching closer. Julian turned to the woman behind the check-in table. "Is her name still not on your list?" She looked like she wanted to disappear. I don't know how it got removed." "Oh, I do," Julian said, eyes narrowing. "It's called racism, disguised as oversight, packaged as a clerical error. But don't worry, I'm going to help you fix it." He turned back toward the street. "Aaliyah," he said, "you're done standing outside." They walked past the velvet rope, through stunned silence, and into the rooftop venue. Music was playing, drinks were flowing, but all eyes were on them. Julian didn't stop. He walked straight to the stage where a jazz trio had just finished their set. With calm authority, he took the mic from the stand. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "I apologize for the interruption, but it seems something important happened tonight that you all should know." Aaliyah stood beside him, glowing not from the spotlight, but from dignity, the kind no one could take. "This is Aaliyah Moore," he said, gesturing to her. "She's not just my wife. She's the founder of New Roots Foundation. She's an advocate, a lawyer, and the reason many of you are here tonight. And yet, she was banned from this very party by people who didn't bother to learn her name." The room froze. "This event just lost its largest donation," Julian said. "Effective immediately, our $250,000 sponsorship is cancelled." Gasps, whispers. Then a couple loud, "Wait, what?" "We're redirecting every dollar to Aaliyah's foundation, directly into the communities that actually need it, not into rooftop galas that humiliate black women in gowns they earned the right to wear." Someone clapped. Then another. Within seconds, applause spread through the room. Some guests stood. A few even left their tables and walked toward Aaliyah, shaking her hand, offering quiet apologies. The editor-in-chief of Social Vogue rushed over, flustered. "Julian, please, this is all just a—" He cut her off with a look. "This was your party. You let this happen. Apologies don't erase humiliation." She turned to Aaliyah. "Ms. Moore, I had no idea." Aaliyah looked her straight in the eye. "Now you do." By morning, the moment had gone viral. Aaliyah Deserved Better trended worldwide. News outlets ran headlines like, "Black woman barred from gala, but she walked out with the crowd on her side." Aaliyah was interviewed on national talk shows, not as a victim but as a force. Donations poured into New Roots Foundation. And young girls across the country saw a woman who looked like them, who didn't beg for validation. She demanded respect. They tried to keep her outside the room, but she left owning the night and rewriting the guest list. Stories like Aaliyah's aren't just fiction. They reflect the real battles many face every day. If you believe in justice, dignity, and powerful voices rising above silence, make sure to subscribe. There are more stories like this, and some might just change how you see the world.